Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for another book haul. These are books that I received either as gifts for my birthday or as gifts for the Shelf Slam for the last month. So let's get stuck in straight away because there's quite a lot here. The first book that I was gifted, there's two books here, and I was gifted them both by my lovely father-in-law. He knows me well. He knows that the best thing to get me for my birthday is books off my Amazon wish list, and so he did, and I'm so excited about them. The first one is Final Girls by Myra Grant. So this is a novella by the same author who wrote Every Heart is a Doorway, Shauna Maguire. I really like the sound of this. It's about, it's set in a time where a doctor has created this sort of cocktail of drugs that puts you into this sort of virtual reality world, from what I can gather, where you can go through these horrific things with different people, and it can help you form bonds and change your life, and through this sort of simulated nightmare, I suppose. There's a lot of skeptics about this treatment, and one is a journalist who wants to go and trial this to see how it all works, and the doctor running it agrees, because what better way to sort of get your skeptics to turn around than to, you know, do something for them and make them believe. But I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of things that happen here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I think of some of Shauna's work writing as Myra Grant. And this is a short one, so a good step into that arena. My father-in-law also very kindly got me a really nice copy of a trilogy that I love and I want to reread before I move on to the newest book. You all will have heard of this. This is Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. I love this edition with Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife and the Amber Spyglass in. It's a bit of a whopper because obviously all of the books are in one, but I really love this, and it's definitely going to be reread next year so that I can move on to the Book of Dust. Next, my wonderful friend Caitlin from Kitty G gifted me two books which I'm very excited about, and I'm really pleased. Caitlin picked books that she knows very much about fantasy and science fiction. If it's fantasy, I trust Caitlin to a T to tell me what she thinks that I will like. She knows my taste really well, we know each other really well, and so I'm really excited that she picked this off my wish list because I get the feeling she thinks I might like them. The first one is a book that I know that she got recently as well, so maybe a buddy read in our future, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. So from what I can gather, this is about a fantastical place or time where this jade that is mined can be used to sort of give people extra strength and abilities, but perhaps only certain people can wield it, and then this other drug or something happens that can mean that anyone can wield it. I don't know much, but it has got an amazing set of recommendations from people like Ken Liu, Anne Leckie, Scott Lynch, Elizabeth Bear, Mary Robinette Cowell. So this comes highly recommended. I really can't wait to get stuck in. And the second one she very kindly gifted me is a book by Mark Lawrence called Red Sister. Now, I think that this one might be one of his YA fantasy novels, which I think definitely with fantasy does sit better with me, especially as an entry point into authors that might have both YA and adult books. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I know it's one that Caitlin has read and says that she thinks is up my street. So this is set in a school that trains assassins, one of my favourite things, and yet when this one girl is brought in when she's young, they really don't know what they've let themselves in for. She is ruthless, and I can't wait to read this. Next in my pile is the books that I was gifted by the lovely Brittany from Under the Radar Books and Janet from Swirly Girly Reads for our Shelf Slam for last month, and Brittany very kindly got me Inside Out and Back Again by Thanaha Lai, I think. This has won both the Newbery Honour, is a Newbery Honour book, and a National Book Award winner. It is a book that is written in verse, which is something quite new-ish to me and is very hit or miss on how I get on with it, but this one just sounded brilliant, and it's come highly recommended from quite a few people here on BookTube. It says on the back, for all of 10 years of her life, Ha has only known Saigon, the thrills of its markets, the joy of its traditions, the warmth of her friends close by, and the beauty of her very own papaya tree. But now the Vietnam War has reached her home. Ha and her family are forced to flee as Saigon falls, and they board a ship headed towards hope. This is the moving story of one girl's year of change, dreams, grief and healing as she journeys from one country to another, one life to the next. So I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. And then the lovely Janet got me Seas of Snow by Corinza Jennings. I think the cover of this is absolutely beautiful. This sounds like it's going to be an extremely moving story. It's set in 1950s in England about a 5-year-old young girl. She's an only child. Her mother has, she's never really known her father, and then her uncle moves in. Her uncle's abuse towards her mother is pretty instantaneous, and then he starts to focus his attention on Grace and is very brutal. And then we skip, I believe, to more present day, years later, and Grace's next door neighbour Billy has been the only person that has really sort of saved her from just not being able to cope, and they've escaped into poetry and imagination and fairy tale, and this, I suppose, is going to be looking at whether that is enough and how she breaks through of this abuse. I've heard it is quite a brutal book and quite graphic, but well worth a read, so I'm looking forward to trying this one out. Next, my father-in-law's fiance got me some books, which is very kind of her, and she picked 2 books off my wish list, and she couldn't have picked better. She's picked 2 very different books, but ones that I'm excited about, and the first is Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Clues, and this is Kingdom of Fire Book 1. It's the start of a fantasy series. Set in glamorous Victorian London, we follow a girl who is prophesied to be the chosen one, but is she? And this is set to be quite an interesting story, and yeah, it just sounds really fun, and I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit reminiscent of Gail Carriger, but we'll see. And then she also bought me The Air He Breathes by Brittany C. Cherry. This was on my list because I've seen quite a few people read it recently. It is a new adult, I think, or adult contemporary. I think it was Today in Jen's Library, Jen, that I saw rave about this and say how good it was. So I just put it onto my wish list because I thought, well, if Jen likes it, I've really got to try it. And I'm really pleased that she bought this. I can't wait to try this author out. I don't know much about it at all. I know it's possibly about 2 people that shouldn't be together but want to. I've heard it's quite steamy, I think, so we'll see. I'll let you know. And then the lovely Janet from Swirly Girly Reads also gifted me 3 books for my birthday. I'm a super lucky girl. The first one is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This sounds like a really interesting premise. It's about a girl in her 20s. She falls in love with sort of her high school sweetheart, I believe. They get married, and then he goes off. He's a nature photographer or something like that, and then his helicopter disappears and he's gone. And this is 10 years later. She's in her 30s and she's started to sort of pick up her life again, and she meets someone else and they get engaged, and then the ex turns up, and what do you do? Because she hasn't stopped loving that person just disappeared. How do you cope with that? I think it sounds really interesting, and I hope that it is executed really well. And the other 2 books that Janet got me are 1 and 2 in a series, and that is Spellslinger and Shadow Black, both by Sebastian de Castell. I was very lucky to have heard Sebastian talk about these books and read excerpts from the first one when I went to 9 Worlds this year, so I'm super excited to get stuck into these. They really drew me in when I heard him talk about them. It sounds like a really interesting premise in terms of the magic in this and these sort of duels that they have to do, and that not everyone is as talented as others, and yeah, I just thought it sounded really interesting, and so I can't wait to try these out and see what I think. So that is the mountain of books that I was very kindly gifted for my birthday or got for Shelf Slam. I'm a lucky, lucky, lucky girl, and there is more coming because once I got those, I treated myself as well. So keep your eye out for another big book haul, the last for a while, because Bookopoly is going to be getting me motivated. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are on them, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.